Dave Rubin is going around, and I don't know what his relationship with Megyn Kelly is, that she seems to be the one who runs cover for Dave Rubin all the time now. Have you noticed that?
I mean, every girl needs a gay best friend.
I can't imagine anyone really wanting to be best friends with Dave Rubin under any circumstance. I just think there's something else.
But he's fooled some people before into some friendships. I would imagine he starts off with a lot of flattery, especially.
Yeah, but I mean, how flattering can you be? Everybody knows that he's just a dunce.
Well,
I guess maybe
I know, but some people. Are you saying like some pundits and TV hosts may be like, I don't know, intoxicated by attention? Sometimes I could find myself being interested in or fooled by people paying attention to me. So I don't know. Right? Okay.
Nevertheless, Kelly invites Dave Rubin on to run interference for Dave's decision to take $5 million to do, I don't know, 4 or 5 videos a month that are really super easy. And it never really occurs to him that could possibly be a red flag here, except for the fact that the fake person who he was convinced was funding it on his fake CV, which was incidentally done in color. And that's not, like there was a time where like 25, 30 years ago where it's like, whoa, this is in color. Did you go to some type of print shop to get this done? That might be, this is real. It's not like you can come up with it on your computer or something. We didn't have color computers when I was in college. I should just tell people this.
Why are you telling people this?
Because there was a time where I think this is a colored CV, so it must be real. Right. But we live in 2024.
Or say somebody printed out a Black Diamond Award for a film festival that they mocked up together.
Yes, well, I did do that. A lot
more convincing.
But I bought it in Variety, but it was all black and white, and that convinced people. But today, you could literally go to an AI thing, come up with a impressive CV for a man named George Papadopoulos, whatever the guy's name is, Gibertadu, and Gregorian,
yeah,
and Eduardo Gregorian, and have him be a European finance head, and literally it'll pop it out in a second. Anyways, here is Dave Rubin trying to explain himself to Megyn Kelly.
So about a year ago, the audience knows this because I told them when the story broke, you and I were chatting and you said you might be doing this sort of side gig with this organization that Lauren Chen, who'd been working for The Blaze, was putting together with some podcasters. And I said, don't do it. Did I not say don't do it? I said, don't do it.
You did say don't do it. You did, but let's give people a little more detail there. It wasn't just don't do it. Basically, what I told you was Lauren Chen, who I've known for about a decade. Your viewers probably know her. She's in the talk space on the right side. I remember meeting her, I don't know, maybe 8 or 9 years ago at an event I did in Canada. And she was this, young, cute little girl who was doing some online stuff. So I'd known her for quite some time. She came to me and she basically said, hey, I've got this French benefactor who is putting together this network. It's going to be with heterodox thinkers. We're thinking about maybe Tim Pool and Benny Johnson. And she named a couple other people. She said, we'd love for you to be a part. You can do whatever you want. And I basically was like, well, I don't have a lot of time. As you know, Megyn, I mean, I think one of the things that I'm most proud of in all of my career is that I've always remained, since I left sort of the online, the Young Turks world where I had other bosses and the rest of it, that I was, to pat myself on the back for 1 second, I was kind of a pioneer in going independent. You even said that 2 years ago. And I'm very proud of that. I'm very, very proud of that. And I help build technology like locals to, enable other people to go independent.
When did he go
But I basically said to her, I was like, look, if I do it, I don't have a lot of time. I'll do a very quick show 4 days a week about some silly,
computers going a little wonky. Anyway, go on.
When did he go independent?
I'm going to look this up. Yeah.
Dave Rubin. He's very, very, he also worked for The Blaze. Didn't he have to pretend Like he didn't he have like a big talking to by with the Blaze with Glenn Beck? He conveniently forgot that.
Okay, this is just on his Wikipedia. So on March 1st, 2015, the Young Turks YouTube channel announced that Rubin would be moving to the media company RYOT shortly after.
Oh, that's right. He was working for Larry King's company.
Then Larry King picked him up. Then he left Aura, adopting to run the Rubin Report independently. Okay, so here we go. Independent. Is it though? The Rubin Report had an affiliation with the Libertarian Institute for Humane Studies,
that.
a Koch
you could look at all
family
his
foundation funder organization who had sponsored a few of his episodes in the past.
Now, did all the booking, basically.
Sam, we're independent media, right? So we often have think tanks sponsoring our videos, right? That's what independent means.
We do not have any think tanks. We have been. This show has been around since 2010. I should say. And we have never had a think tank sponsor us. It's conceivable we've had them advertise once or twice, but also, like Tushy, with bidets also sponsor us, but we don't. I mean, I may push the bidet life a little bit more than the non-bidet life because it's nice. But yes, we are completely independent. So, and then didn't he go to the Blaze?
Then he started doing work with Turning Points USA. He was a podcast guest on Joe Rogan, etc. And then he went to the Blaze.
Giant sugar daddies.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So
be independent like that.
He until late 2018, he was funded through Patreon, and then that's when after that he went and joined the Blaze. So he's basically claiming that from 2015, from that period that he was independent, but we know that he was in part sponsored by this Koch-funded think tank. So I don't think that constitutes independence.
Quincy should give us like $100,000 every time we cover Gaza. It'd be nice.
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
The Young Turks world where I had other bosses and the rest of it, that I was, to pat myself on the back for 1 second, I was kind of a pioneer in going independent. You even said that to me years ago, and I'm very proud of that. I'm very, very proud of that. And I helped build technology like Locals to, enable other people to go independent. But I basically said to her, I was like, look, if I do it, I don't have a lot of time. I'll do a very quick show 4 days a week about some silly, viral video kind of stuff. And I asked for what I thought was a crazy number, a crazy amount of money. And in essence, after 1 or 2 conversations, they basically said yes. And I called you the night before. This is what you're referencing. I didn't like the idea that I was doing something kind of just for money, but I was.
Oh my God.
I don't have a problem with capitalism or doing things for money, but I had been so free for so long that I was kind of struggling with it. Should I do it? And obviously, if you're starting a network, let's say you're starting a Daily Wire or you're starting Blaze or whatever it might be, you're going to pay a premium for talent.
Pause it for 1 second. Don't take him down. Don't take him down. But I just want you to understand what the windup is here. He calls her for advice because he doesn't want to do something just for money. And I'm going to for a moment, I'm going to suspend all disbelief. And he calls her for advice because he has serious misgivings about doing something for money. She is going to say, don't do it. And he is going to say, okay, I'm doing it.
Right.
Go ahead.
Right.
Go.
But I was struggling with the idea that I was just doing something for money. And you basically said to me, well, then just don't do it. And I learned a lesson, which is listen to Megyn Kelly. Because then a headache happened, which I had no idea was coming.
It turned into just a nightmare. So you did the work, you got the money, reportedly $5 million, and the indictment that came down not of Lauren Chen, she hasn't been indicted, but of the people who started this podcast network called Tenet Media, are allegedly a couple of Russians who work for RT, which used to be called Russia Today. It's state-run media in Russia. Those two have been indicted. And the interesting thing about those two being indicted is, as Andy McCarthy pointed out on his podcast, they're ghosts. They'll never be arrested. It's basically just a way for the DOJ to try to embarrass the conservative podcasters who got pulled into this.
Oh, come on, pause it. They're not going to be visible. You know why? Because they're giving the the deep state all the information that they need on these.
No, these are the
conservative-
Russians who are not in country she's referring to.
Oh, well, they'll be
They're the
ghosts, sure.
ghosts.
But why we haven't heard from Lauren Chen or whatever is because they're probably cooperating for reduced jail
why
time.
the DOJ is doing this. It's just to embarrass right-wing media who fell into this trap where they almost drowned in money. Like they literally almost choked on so much money. Like they just shoved the $5 million down Dave Rubin's throat. And then like as he's choking on that money, he's got to be embarrassed about where it comes from. We can see what the DOJ
deep
is
state.
doing here.
Yeah, they'll do you
Oh,
wrong, but
my-
also give you reparations at the exact same time that you don't have to pay back.
I hope he sues the government for extra money for making him embarrassed about where he got that $5 million from. Go ahead.
And notice how casual she is about the $5 million. Yeah, she got $5 million.
He's sort of looking like he was going to say it's actually 4.8 million. Or
Yeah,
something.
yeah,
He was
right.
going to like
Duh.
hesitate. I didn't want to get too carried away.
And we solved
This
it
is
as
in
to
a year,
why.
incidentally. In
Yeah.
a year.
And this is why we solved it as to why Megyn Kelly's having him on to do this, is because she gets to look smart in this situation and above it. And he's more than willing, like the, the guy who just will do whatever basically for a buck and to suck up to right wingers. He's more than willing to have her say, "I told you so" on air on her very popular Sirius XM show, because it doesn't matter. He wants to get out of accountability no matter what. And then he gets to suck up with another right winger in the process.
This is penance.
Yeah.
This is so he never has to deal with it again. I guarantee you, anytime it ever comes up, I've already gone through this with Megyn Kelly, and she went through that. She was pretty harsh. But here it starts even getting better because she asked the obvious question. Like, he's so quiet when you got sucked into this and got paid $5 million. He is so quiet during that moment. And then she drops this. Go ahead.
Makes very clear that they had no idea they were working for the Russians, and that all of them maintained, except for one guy who says, maybe according to the indictment, I haven't heard this person respond to it, but everybody says they had editorial independence. No strings were being pulled by the Russians, by Lauren Chen, or by anybody else. But basically, this is the DOJ's attempt to say everyone's a Russian stooge. Conservatives are Russian stooges. The Russians are interfering again. Don't trust conservatives. They're Russian stooges. Am I about? Do I have it about right?
You do have it about right. The funny thing to me is when this story broke, whatever it was, 10 days ago, and I read the indictment, I'm so used to reading dishonest things about me that when I was reading it, I was like, oh, this actually is all true. I knew Lauren for all these years. She told me I was working with this French businessman. I'm commentator number one in the indictment for people that want to read it. I'm the one that asked for more information. They sent me what I think now it says is a fake AI bio about this guy with a picture. Maybe you guys have it over there.
It's fancy. It looks fancy.
No, but even that didn't. I was like not satisfied with that, so I asked.
fancy.
Yeah, so that's what they sent me, and I said, well, I'd like to talk.
When Dave says he wasn't satisfied, let's just remind people what wasn't satisfactory about that printout, which is that it said the guy was interested in social justice issues.
Yes,
and Dave's
exactly.
like,
I'm going to really question this. Who says the word social justice on it? I'm a hard-hitting journalist.
Guy, that's what I said to Lauren. All my communications were with Lauren, and clearly the DOJ has all those communications because everything in the indictment was true. And then I got on a Zoom call. Lauren set me up on a Zoom call with a person that I was told was her French benefactor named Edward Gregorian. And now I don't know who I spoke to. I actually have no idea who I spoke to. I don't know what Lauren's intentions were or anything else. Look, we, as the DOJ said to me in an email, look, you guys are the victims here. You guys got completely duped. I completely stand by all of my editorial decisions and everything else. Also, this had nothing to do with the report.
How is the DOJ saying you guys got completely duped consistent with Megyn Kelly's charge that the DOJ did this as a way of embarrassing and claiming that you're all Russian stooges?
That's a great point.
They should have probably
Traps
huddled
abound.
beforehand. What are we going to do? Wait, did I get duped or are we Russian stooges? All right, go ahead.
It was a separate show altogether. But I think more than anything else, the headache around this has been that it's like you watch the media, the way they run with these crazy things that you just alluded to this, the way they run with it. And it's like, it's just so profoundly dishonest. And I'm so proud of the work that I've done.
It's a chance to discredit you.
Yeah.
Of course, it's a chance to discredit you and Benny Johnson and Tim Pool. And so they're loving that. Yes, let's do that. That's thrilling. We can take out the legs of anybody they find a threat without actually reading. The indictment makes very clear. I mean, it says, it's crystal clear that Founder 1 and Founder 2, that's Lauren and her husband, work together to, they say, mask the true source of funding.
Okay.
By falsely portraying.
It doesn't make it better. It doesn't make it better. Okay. So they're setting up this straw man that this is so that they're getting attacked for being agents of Russia, right? That's not what we're attacking Tim Pool and Dave Rubin over, or I would say rather laughing and mocking them over. It's the fact that they took this money with so few questions, that they barely asked any questions before gobbling up millions of dollars from a benefactor who they knew nothing about.
It was color.
It was in color, a printout, a color printout. And that's what it says, is that it undercuts Dave Rubin's extremely insecure explanation prior to this, which is that he's been independent before this. No. From the day you left TYT and took this independent, you were trying to find a way to get some wealthy guy to do the exact thing that happened to you and that you were victimized by in this instance years later. The thing is that you've done it before. He did it with the libertarian think tank that was funding him after he left and was starting the Rubin Report and being the last liberal. He did it after that. He did it with all his deals with whatever. These right-wingers are subsidized. We're not talking, it's not specifically about Russia. It's funny.
That's the thing. The CIA,
interesting, but
this is how foreign influence works. The CIA doesn't say, here's some money from the CIA, wherever country you want to do influence in. There's a cutout. There's like, this is the Democracy Initiative, or this is the Business Roundtable, or some shit like that. It's not like, just like Russia wouldn't do that either.
And I should also add that, like, it is interesting that Tim Pool, who constantly tries to make the argument of, like, I'm not a right winger, for whatever reason, these people who wanted to spend all this money on right wingers decided to also spend a bunch of it with Tim Pool.
So odd.
It's very odd. Keep going.
To commentator 1, that's you, and 2, that's Tim, that this company was sponsored by a private investor named Edward Gregorian. In truth and in fact, this guy was a fictional person. They say, for example, during contract negotiations, commentator 1 requested that Founder 1 provide a profile of the article on this guy. And in response,
that's me.
Founder 1 sent him a one-page profile provided to him, and so on, blah, blah, falsely describing him, blah, 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 blah. And they say that they...
She's blah, blah, blahing over the part where he questioned it because of the social justice thing.
Yes, exactly. She's blah, blah, blah. Like, oh, your one question was the word social justice. Like, you really read at least half of this document because you went down to the second paragraph. That's so good, Dave, because the font was only in 16 point. That is really good, Dave.
You know, he couldn't read the rest because he'd slobbered all over the pages when he saw the $5 million for no work figure. That was his entire dream at TYT. He didn't want to work the whole time when he was there. He wanted to just show up and do a half-hour show and get paid buckets of money. Anna Kasparian has said this publicly many times. And this is what he got. This is his dream. And now he's pretending he's the victim.
Founder 1 and Founder 2 worked together to deceive Commentator 1 and Commentator 2, who respectively have the following YouTube following or Twitter followers. So not even the government alleges that you knew. But now that leads me to the tough questions that people want answered. Number 1, now that you know it was the Russian money, do you give it back?
Well, I don't know who I would be giving it back to. The Russians that duped me? I'm not sure. I mean, I'll decide
donate
what to do
to charity.
I'll probably donate some of it. I've been dealing with like just the immediacy of lawyers just cleaning up everything with the DOJ. And as you said, I was never accused of anything or anything else. I have an email from them saying that I'm the victim here. So we're trying to figure that out, and I'd be happy to follow up with you on that, either personally or publicly when we figure that out.
Blah, 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 blah. Like, the guy just doesn't want to answer that question. Like,
probably.
How could I give it away? I could probably give some to charity, but no,
so
I mean, look, I did that work, which was at the top of, he said, like, barely any work, he said. Like, it's both. I did all that work, and I asked for money that I'd never thought that they would give me. They gave it to me. It never occurred to me. In fact, I was so tipped off that I said, are we sure about this? It says social justice on line 5. Well, I've been skeptical. Okay, I'll take the money. Well, but now I'm not going to give it back or give it to charity or anything because, I did do the work. And
it's so funny to say, I will be happy to follow up with you in private on that, Megyn.
Yeah.
Can we move the fuck out?
Because he's like, Megyn, you've been to my pool house. I can't take it apart plank by plank. It's already in the renovated pool house.
You saw the house I bought in Miami.
Yeah, don't you get it? Don't you want those sheets when you come to stay and we go out for drinks? Girl talk.
Edward Gregorian, IAMS. Yes, Sammy, baby. Keep it going just like we planned. See you on Zoom later this week. $5 million.
It does actually seem like they're friends, though, which is hilarious.
Oh, yeah. I think they are. And,
but that's his first
Dave maybe takes her on trips.
That's his first conservative commentator friend. Like, honestly, we should give him some props here because he's struggled with friendships.
Shapiro.
No, he's not.
Oh, yeah, he was. Remember, Shapiro specifically said, I like you. We're friends. We have dinner together, but I would never go to your wedding.
Right. Well, okay. I don't count that. I'm sorry.
Oh,
all right.
Dave does.
Dave does.
I can assure you. Well, I have Dave. Ben's a great friend of mine. He just thinks that my entire life is illegitimate and disgusting and fundamentally sinful and wrong. That's all.
But okay, I'll amend my comment on his progress as an individual. He finally has a friend in the conservative space who would probably attend his wedding and maybe hang out with him outside of a work setting. And
I still have a texting relationship with Stefan Molyneux. He's moderate like me. Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.